Hello basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training, and today I'm going to talk to you about the 5-out motion offense, and I'm going to run it up against different zone defenses. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check this out. Okay, so first we have the 2-3 zone defense. Most likely what's going to happen is you're going to see a trap up top, and you're going to be seeing players 3, 5, and 4 spreading out and also getting a bit higher. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to have player 1 pass over to player 5. That's going to then bring player 1 over. Player 4 is going to be covering player 2 as a cutoff pass. Player 5 is moving over, and player 3 is going to move over. Player 1 will have a couple of different options here. So, how the 5-out motion works, you have 3 different options. You can screen for, you can cut, or you can screen away. So in a 2-3, there really isn't any player to screen away for, so you have basically 2 different options at the point, to cut or to screen. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have player 1 at first, he's going to go and screen for. Player 5 is going to use that screen, and player 1 can either roll off or he can pop. Now, if he rolls off, he's going to be able to receive that pass, hopefully, which should collapse the defense in. Now, what's going to happen possibly here is a possibility of player 3 being open, or player 2 or 4 cutting baseline, and they may be open close to underneath the rim. Now, why I'm mentioning this is because you need to read the defense. It's not just all about standing in one place in a motion offense and doing nothing and waiting for it to be your turn to move. What you need to do is also be proactive and think, where can I go and what can I do to be able to help my team score? So that is a couple of different options that we can run. We can have a pass down to player 2, a pass out to player 3, a pass over to player 4 who may be covered by player 3. So personally, player 3 blue and player 2 cutting baseline would be the best options. If player 1, however, was just to pop, and player 5 would be up top, this would be again another trap. The defense down low would spread out, and we can then have player 5 pass over to player 3. That would then bring the defense over just like this. And let's say we had player 5 cut towards the rim. Now, of course, there's a player in the middle of the key who's waiting for him, and his whole objective is to stop anything coming down the key. However, offensively, you have 3 seconds to be inside the key. So what we're going to be doing here is having player 5 post up player 5 red for 1 second. What we can now run is have player 3 pass down into the post, which is going to collapse player 3 onto him. If that happens, we can now have player 4 open to cut baseline, where we can have that layup. Or player 4 may be open for a 3-point shot out there. Now, if player 5 was not to get that double team in the low post, he can now dribble out towards this side to try and get player 5 to take him into the middle and pull player 4 into a double team, which now leaves player 2 and player 1 open. Now, you may be saying, well, they might have already filled up top. Well, even if they did, we still have one of these 2 players open depending on what player 1 red is doing. And then, if player 1 red was still guarding more of the point position, player 5 could pass out to player 2. That would then have player 4 red scrambling out to defend him. Player 5 would then continue his cut out towards the wing, and this could be a 3-point shot. So again, a couple of different options by just reading the defense. Now, if the defense is now in this position, we have the ball out on this corner. So let's say player 5 got that pass, but he never got that shot off in time. The defense may be looking, or will be looking, like this. What we're going to have now is player 5 passing up to player 2, and he can again say, okay, I can screen for, or I can cut. Personally, being a cutting player, that's just whatever. You're going to be switching out and doing nothing. So from that position, personally, I would prefer player 5 going up and screening for player 1. The reason for this, the screening for player 2 on player 1, is because player 2 is going to be able to use that screen. Player 5 is much bigger than player 1, so he can seal him. He can seal, turn, and now possibly be open for a floater, or take a one dribble into the middle and collapse that player 5 and player 3 so that he can kick it out for a mid-range or a 3-point shot. Now, a lot of teams will counter a 5-out offense if they're a zone-type defensive team. A lot of teams will counter with a 3-out, 2-in zone defense. So what's going to happen now, or a 3-2 zone defense, whatever you want to call it. But what we're going to do now is, again, same idea. However, you can now screen away, but it's not really going to do much, so you really don't have that option. So again, cutting or screening 4. Now, both of these are options, and both of these are very good options. So let's say player 1 screens for player 5. Player 5 is going to go up top, player 1 is going to seal, and he's going to then pivot and turn, and he will be getting that basketball in the middle of the key. He can take 1 or 2 dribbles if he can, and that will collapse one or both of those low post players. If it does collapse both of those players, we have options to cut baseline by both of our players 4 and 2. If it only collapses one of the players, then we just have player 2 who's open for a nice easy layup. However, same idea as if we were to pass to player 5, and instead of screening 4, he just cut towards the rim. Same idea permits where player 5 gets player 1 the ball, could collapse the defense and allow baseline drives open or baseline cuts open for player 1 to get the assist. But let's say he passed and he was not open to receive that pass cutting down. We're going to have player 3, 4, and then 1's going to fill out. And we can now have player 5 passing to player 2. That's going to be now a trap over on that side. However, that can leave this whole side open and allow the cut to be open as well. And if that's the case, if that leaves player 5 open, cutting towards the rim, we now have player 5 and 4 collapsing on him over here. And we may have player 2 starting to sneak down. We could have player 1 cutting baseline. He could be open for that layup. If player 2 snuck down to guard him, he can now kick it out to player 4 for the 3-point shot. So many different options from multiple areas of the court of the 5-out against the 3-2 zone. The 3-2 zone is actually one of the zones that I never run as a coach. Now the 2-1-2 zone, this is very popular. You could have the center in the middle, you could have a forward in the middle, or you could have a guard in the middle like South Korea. Anyways, from there, the middle player, the guy in the 2-1-2, the one player in the middle, he is going to be guarding the key all the way out to the 3-point line and back to the baseline. Meanwhile, 4 is guarding this area, 1's that area, and blah, 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 just like that. Now, what we're going to be having is player 3. He's going to be passing to player 5. That's going to be bringing player 5 down just a bit. That's going to be bringing player 2 out, player 3 over, and player 4 across. Now, player 3 blue, he could be doing a couple of different things. He could screen 4, and this would be a great option to run because now player 5 is going to be in attack mode trying to attack player 5. Meanwhile, player 3 blue is rolling towards the basket. And whether or not player 3 is open for that layup or even for that pass, let's say those two players collapsed on him, we could then have a possibility of player 2 being open. We could have a possibility of player 1 being open because we have just collapsed the defense from a player attacking the middle and another player rolling down the middle, which now leaves a fantastic option for you. Now, what would happen if player 3 instead was just to cut towards the rim? Well, again, same thing. Player 5 is going to be sticking with him most likely until he gets past that half point and player 3 can pick him up. But if we're a fast-moving offensive team, we can now do a quick pitch over to player 2, which is going to have player 3 scrambling out, and player 3 could now be posting up in the middle for 1 to 2 seconds. He could be open for that shot, or he can clear out. We can have player 4, 1, and 3 clear, and now we could have player 2 pass to player 5. Player 2 is going to need to cut, and now we've basically isolated player 5 because now we could have player 4 who's open for a shot. That's going to now have player 5 scrambling out to defend player 4 where he could do a quick pitch down to player 2. Or what could happen now is player 2 could then come in, set a back screen for player 3. Player 3 is going to be cutting across and out. And now player 2 is going to be filling out. Player 4 can pass to player 5 quickly over to player 3 for a possible 3-point shot. However, player 4 can then cut towards the rim, and we have the same options as we did before. It's all about trying to reverse that ball against the 2-1-2 and then having players cut baseline popping out and having multiple options for player 3 to guard. And if you're a quick swinging passing team, you can get many 3-point shots open. Now, I hope that this will help you score more against zone defenses with the 5-out motion offense. It is a great offense to run. I run this with every single team I coach, the same as the triangle motion, which I've got other videos on this channel about as well. However, if you have liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys again later on today for the second video of the day.